Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the people show where we check the pulse of a frustrated Husker Nation. Now, there will be some weeks when I'll do a reaction to Matt Rhule's press conference on Mondays, and there'll be some weeks when I don't. It's just kind of how I feel going into a week. And no disrespect whatsoever to Coach Rhule, but this week I'm just not interested in what is said. All I care about is what happens on the field on Saturday. Okay, and I do want to point something else out, because I am still repping Nebraska. Okay, I'm going to rep the red till I'm dead, and I'm Husker proud forever. That will never change. But today, there's got to be a change at the quarterback position on offense. Like, something has to change. And I'm going to define what that means later on in the show, exactly what I mean by that, because it can mean multiple things. Okay, but do me a favor. If you agree with me that something at the quarterback position needs to change, and that's not optional, that's mandatory, then hit the like button. Now, a couple of stats. They are what they are. Take them for whatever you think they're worth. All right, Nebraska has a 22-game losing streak versus AP-ranked teams. The last time they beat a ranked team was Oregon 2016. Don't click off the video. Don't worry. It's just stats. It is what it is. All right, the last time Nebraska beat a Power 5 team in a non-conference game was Oregon 2016. Again, something needed to change coming into this year, and 2 games in, something needs to change. All right, now, I do want to give Matt Rhule credit, okay, because speaking of press conferences, some members of his staff wanted to cut the press conference short after the game on Saturday, and Matt Rhule refused, and he stayed the whole time. Now, coming into this game, and we're not going to talk a whole lot about Colorado, and I do. I know I had said I was going to break down the Colorado game. I'm good, okay? All right, here's all I'm going to mention about the Colorado game. They had won the previous 2 meetings coming into last Saturday by a combined 8 points. The issue is Nebraska right now is only averaging 12 points per game on offense so far this season, and I was going to see where we ranked nationally in that, and I chose not to do so. Okay. Now, when I talk about our starting quarterback so far, Jeff Sims, and I talk about these college players and these young men, it's not personal, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, it isn't personal. I'm not picking on anyone. I have been that guy that's been analyzed myself, so I know what it feels like from my own perspective, okay? So, it's just facts. It's my opinion, and then facts to back my opinion as we go along here. And here's the other thing. I view these young men different than I ever have. NIL and the transfer portal has changed the game of college football forever. When I first got to Nebraska, okay, I got there 2 weeks before training table opened, before the dorms opened, before camp started. I slept on senior defensive end Justin Smith's couch for 2 weeks. I ate nothing but 120 metrics protein powder packets. Okay, he made me a steak one time. It was uber delicious. Part of that is because I was stubborn as hell. I didn't want money. I didn't want help from my parents. I didn't want anything. I wanted to do it on my own. Part of that is because that's how college football was back then. And I was happy. I had no complaints whatsoever. So I do look at these young men a little bit differently, because it's more like semi-pro ball with NIL and the transfer portal, but let's move forward. Because I do believe Nebraska, as bad as it's looked, as deplorably deplorable, just made that up, as it has looked at times, listen to some of these stats. Because we could easily be 1-1 or 2-0. Our defense has played well enough to win. We have ran the ball well enough to win football games. All right. Now, Nebraska, when you have 4 or 5 turnovers, but you rush for 222 yards in your last game, you average 5.4 yards per carry, but you only complete 50% of your passes and average 5.4 yards per completion, the same amount as your average per rush. It's not great. The Black Shirts held our opponent to 1.8 yards per carry and 58 total rush yards. Throughout the year so far, our defense is giving up an average of exactly 2.0 yards per carry. Actually, it's under that. I take it back. It's under that. Okay, and a total of 130. They're averaging 1.8, 1.9 yards per carry that they're allowing per rush. That's winning football. Rushing for over 200 yards is winning football. Averaging over 5 yards per carry is winning football. Okay, they've given up an average of 56.5 yards rush rush yards per game, our defense. We are averaging over 200 yards rushing a game. Over 5 yards a carry, as I mentioned. Okay, that's winning football. A story as old as time, run the ball, play defense, stop the run. You're going to win football games. Unless you're averaging 4 to 5 turnovers a game. When you're leaving on average 10 to 14 points on the field per game and handing the opponent 10 to 14 points per game. Minnesota scored 10 points in the last 5 minutes of that game due to 2 short fields. Colorado in the first half alone scored 10 points, their first 10 points due to 2 short fields handed to them by our offense. Not only that, our offense is driving on the first drive of the game on Saturday, gonna score, gonna get a field goal attempt, gonna get a touchdown, gonna turnover. We score again right before, I think 7.5 minutes before half. We're driving, looks like we're gonna score. Turnover. Okay, I talked after the Minnesota game how many points we left on the field. We are leaving. The first 2 games, we probably left anywhere from 17 to 24 points on the field, and we've handed our opponents about 20 points. I mean, my God, that's a 44-point swing. That is not winning football. Real quick. We're doing things well. We're playing winning football, and then we're not. Real quick. All right, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor because this show does not happen without the fans at home. It does not happen without our sponsors. All right. So if you're a general contractor, a building owner, or property manager looking for concrete repair or work done in the Omaha metro area, such as street paving, building floors, and parking lots, check out dpsconstruction.net. It's a quality company. They do quality work ran by a quality individual. It's dpsconstruction.net, and tell them that Adam Carriker sent them your way. Now, clearly Sims, has not looked like this in practice, I would have to assume, or he wouldn't be playing. I do have to wonder, though, with how bad he's looked in the games, barring him getting hurt in the last game, how bad have Heinrich Haarberg and Chuba Purdy? I have to assume they haven't looked good. How bad have they looked? Because Rhule won't bring them in. As bad as Sims is struggling, barring Sims getting banged up. Now, look at Heinrich Haarberg, look at Chuba Purdy. All right, Haarberg is second on the depth chart, 6'5", 215 pounds, from Kearney Catholic High School in Nebraska. He's the first in-state quarterback to sign with Nebraska since 2001. A top 20 dual-threat quarterback, more than a dozen scholarship offers, won all sorts of awards coming out of high school, a Sports Illustrated All-American candidate. In my opinion, I've watched him practice. I've watched him practice over the years. I've talked about his speed. I've talked about his arm. I've talked about his frame. I've talked about it since he was a true freshman. And the first time I saw him live in person in practice in those ugly green jerseys that the quarterbacks tend to wear, in my opinion, in a room full of talented guys, he has the highest ceiling of any quarterback we have. And he's also athletic enough at 6'5", 215 pounds to play wide receiver as well. Chuba Purdy, younger brother of former Iowa State quarterback and current 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. He was a 4-star quarterback coming out of high school, number 6 dual threat quarterback in the country. He was the Arizona Offensive Player of the Year. He transferred from Florida State. He's only the 5th true freshman quarterback in Noles history to start a game at quarterback as a true freshman. He's played in 10 games in his career with 3 starts. These are both highly talented and highly touted and talented individuals. Let me define now something different at quarterback and what that means to me. It means, and I quote myself because I wrote it down here, execute the offense and not turn the ball over. If you can make a play, great. If not, so be it. Just hand the ball off correctly, handle motions correctly, and throw it to the guys with the red on their helmet. Again, I mean no disrespect to anybody who's played quarterback for us so far, but we have played a lot of good football with a lot of ugly mixed in, and something's got to change at this particular position. Heinrich Haarberg, here's my question for him. If it's him that gets the chance to start, play, or whatever this Saturday, can he match his physical ability to his play on the field? When it comes to Chuba Purdy, if you remember last year, he struggled when he got his chances to play, and you could see why Casey Thompson was the starter. My question is, can you calm down and slow down the game in your mind because we were told he'd get overly excited in the huddle? Has that changed 1 year later? Now, all right, Haarberg and Purdy, All right, very small sample size and a very kind of a difficult situation to come into on Saturday, but they were combined 2 of 7 passing with 1 touchdown. Now, if it is Sims, because I didn't say a different player, probably, I mean, if it's me, I'm giving Heinrich Haarberg a chance, or whoever plays better this week in practice. That's what I'm doing. Okay, I'm not the head coach. I'm not the guy getting paid the moolah. Okay. If it is Sims, and I don't know his health status at the moment that I'm recording this video, I do not know, okay, his health status. But if it's a healthy Sims, my philosophy would be run him over and over and over and do more option. Do more option, please. And ask him to be a game manager and run the ball, and that's it. Personally, I would give Haarberg a chance. I would absolutely prioritize whoever looks the best this week in practice. Now, here are my questions for you fine folks at home. And actually, Greg Smith had an intriguing tweet that I thought was interesting. Greg Smith on Twitter. Matt Rhule has done a lot of correct things so far in Lincoln. He picked the wrong quarterback, and because of that, it's going to be very hard to avoid a typical Matt Rhule year 1, where you only win 1 or 2 games is what he's getting at. Here's my question for you. Is Jeff Sims, Matt Rhule's, I'm just going to say it, the biggest mistake he's made since he got to Lincoln? Because if Jeff Sims doesn't come in, Casey Thompson's probably still here. And Casey Thompson with him at quarterback were at least 1-1, if not 2-0. And I could argue that Logan Smothers, and I do believe this, would have probably led us to 1, if not 2 victories so far this year if he was at quarterback as well. You know what? I don't want to ask that question. I don't like the narrative that could possibly create. Again, nothing's personal here. Just let me know. Who do you think should start at quarterback this Saturday? Jeff Sims, Heinrich Haarberg, or Chubba Purdy? Number 2, my second question, what will Nebraska's record be going into the Michigan game? Will they be 0-4? Dear God, no. Will they be 1-3 or 2-2? Let me know in the comments below. Last but not least, your thoughts on Marcus Satterfield as our offensive coordinator so far. All right, ladies and gentlemen, go check out Connor Hayden of Corn Craze, John Johnston of Corn Nation, Don Harold, who is highly entertaining in his own right, and he needs to get his name out there, at CarrikerChronicles.com, their game reactions, what they're saying this week, what Nebraska needs to do different, and their predictions for our game this upcoming Saturday. I will be putting out another video later this week. I don't even know if I'm going to do a prediction because we better beat Northern Illinois, but I got a couple of things on my mind. You can find it all at CarrikerChronicles.com, and this is about the worst time under God's hot sun to plug merchandise, but I'm going to do it because I don't think I've done it yet. You can also get a bunch of cool merchandise at CarrikerChronicles.com and support the show. I know we truly appreciate it. Go Big Red, and always remember to throw the ball.